With kids learning from home, a family field trip can be both beneficial and educational. You can even use some local monuments to help make learning fun. Joining us now is historian Raffi Andonian. Good morning. I'm curious.
Good morning.
Here in Fresno, in the Central Valley, what are some good monuments that people can take a quick trip to?
That's right, and you said it. You know, so many people are at home right now looking to get out, and students are learning remotely, and families are looking to get outside. And what better way to do so than to visit some of these sites that they're reading about and feel connected? I know for me, it was very important to connect to these sites when I was a child, learning about these sites, because it made them come alive and not just something you're reading in the books. And I broke these down into two main categories, two main places for y'all to check out, with two sites within each. And one is the Fresno State campus. I want you to go to the Fresno State campus to look for two monuments. One monument is the Armenian Genocide Memorial. Now, that was put there a few years ago, but it was to commemorate events that took place 100 years prior for the genocide. Now, my family is Armenian, and that's how they came to California. Further south in Los Angeles is where they were. There's so many folks of Armenian descent are here in the Central Valley because of the genocide. And it can be a way to go and remember why so many of these folks are here, including if you yourself are of Armenian descent and why your family is here. The second monument I want you to look for on the Fresno State campus is the Cesar Chavez statue. Now, that statue is on the path, on the actual path, going from Delano to Sacramento, 300-mile plus march that Cesar Chavez led of Workers Union, Farmers Worker Union, that was the first of its kind to help fight for better wages for farmers and better working conditions for farmers. And in doing so, he created the first permanent farmers union in the nation. And that happened right here in the Central Valley. Those are the two sites that I'd like you to check out at Fresno State that are monuments. Now, there's another category I want you to check out in the city of plaques. And those plaques are in the city. You go to Fresno, and I want you to look for two plaques. And these aren't monuments per se. They're plaques that are listed under California Historical Landmarks. And you're going to find two sites there. One is the Fresno Free Speech Fight. The Fresno Free Speech Fight is the site where so many folks came for labor-free speech long before Cesar Chavez. Now, Cesar Chavez was in the 1960s, but these folks that were fighting for labor in the 1910, 1911, over the course of months, were fighting for labor more generally, not specifically for farmers. But what you'll see there was the first fight in California over free speech, and the first time in California that labor was organized. And it's right there on that site that speeches were given in support of that. It got nationwide attention right here in Fresno. And what happened in that process was some of those folks that were giving those speeches were jailed and held without trial. And I feel like right now that's very relevant with all that's going on in current events to go see a historic site like that and remember those that happened over a century ago right here in Fresno. And the final plaque I want you to see when you're in the city of Fresno is to check out the plaque for the Fresno Assembly Center. Now, you may be familiar with Japanese internment camps that were held during World War II for Japanese Americans to be sent to, unfortunately, during that process. But what you may not be familiar with is local temporary camps that were held as assembly centers, is what they called them. They were really detention centers before they would send Japanese American Californians to these permanent camps. And if you go there to the site of the plaque, we'll be standing on the site where this occurred, a moment of reflection for many folks here to remember that. And if you're interested in seeing even more, you can drive a few hours east and go to the Manzanar National Historic Site to actually see the permanent camps at which they ended up after these temporary sites.
All right, thank you so much. That's a ton of info. Let me ask you, if a parent wants to go to any of these sites and maybe they don't have this wealth of knowledge that you have off the top of their heads, what's an easy way for parents to maybe learn a little bit more so they can teach their kids a little bit more when they go there?
Absolutely. So what I would do is I would go and I would Google California Historic Landmarks. If you do that, you're going to be going to the California State site to see some of these historic landmarks. And a lot of these will pop up, and a lot more will pop up as well. And then as far as the Fresno State sites, just look on the Fresno State campus, and you'll find those monuments. But the other ones I mentioned, you just go to California Historic Landmarks, and that's where you'll find a lot of these sites and more.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of great info, and anyone out there, you can take your kids today, you can take them this weekend, whenever you want.